One of the most important and fundamental ideas and concepts in Judaism is Kiddush Shem Shamayim, sanctifying the name of God. It has many different components. In its narrowest form, it means that a Jew should be prepared to give up his or her life for their religion. For example, if someone were to come to a Jew and say to them, I will kill you unless you kill this other person. I will kill you unless you perform this act of sexual immorality. I will kill you unless you worship this idol. The Jew has to choose death and die al Kiddush Hashem, sanctifying God's name. Perhaps the greatest example of this was Rabbi Akiva, who absolutely refused to go along with the Roman plan of outlawing Jewish education, of teaching Torah. He was arrested for teaching Torah publicly, and he was executed. And as he was being executed, he said the words of the Shema. Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. Listen, Israel, Hashem is our God, Hashem is one, thereby sanctifying God's name. But Kiddush Shem Shamayim has actually got a much broader meaning. And it means that Jews do things that bring Judaism into good repute. And Hashem's name into good repute. Where people say, wow, look at the behavior of that Jewish person. How ethical they are. How good they are. They found a lost wallet that had thousands of dollars in it. They could have kept quiet, but they returned it. They gave it back. That's an example of a Kiddush Hashem, sanctifying God's name. And the greater a person is, the greater is the Kiddush Hashem, the sanctification of God's name. Of course, the opposite is also true. That when a person is a great person known for their piety, and they do something which is wrong, then they are desecrating God's name. In his legal code, the Rambam writes that the greatest example of Kiddush Shem Shamayim, sanctifying God's name, is Joseph in our parasha. Joseph was tempted by his master's wife, by Potiphar's wife, for a full year. She wanted to be with him. She tried to seduce him. She would make herself up. She would wear different garments in the morning and in the afternoon. And one day when nobody was at home, she finally grabbed him and she said, now please be with me, lie with me. She was a married woman. Now here at this moment, we have to think about what was going on in Joseph's mind. He had absolutely everything to lose and nothing to gain. Because if he said no, she would make some type of a scene. She would report him. She would say that he had tried to rape her, and he would be thrown in a dungeon, and he was nothing in Egypt. He was a slave. He was a Hebrew slave. He had everything to lose. So really, logically, he should have gone along with her, but he didn't. He didn't, and he fled, and he was arrested, and he was accused of rape, and he was placed in the dungeon. But he did it anyway. Why? The reason why he stayed away from sin wasn't because he was afraid of the consequences. Here the consequences, in fact, the other way around, were much worse. He did it because that was the correct thing to do. No matter what the consequences, he was going to do what was correct. And that is the greatest form of Kiddush Shem Shamayim, the sanctification of God's name. And that is one of the reasons why we referred to Joseph as Yosef HaTzadik, the righteous Joseph. I wish you a Shabbat Shalom.